you'd asked me a few years ago what caused pain, I probably would have pointed to an MRI, an X-ray, or a specific muscle, tendon or joint. I thought pain was mainly about damaged tissues, but after treating hundreds of patients in private practice, I've realised something that completely changed the way I look at pain. Yes, pain can absolutely start because of an injury. You roll your ankle, you tear a muscle, you irritate a tendon. Those tissues need time to heal. But what determines whether that pain settles over the next few weeks, or whether you're still dealing with it 6 months or even 2 years later, often has much less to do with the original injury than most people realise. And that's what I want to talk about today. Because if you only focus on the painful body part, you're often missing the bigger picture. Before we get started, my name is Brad. I'm a physiotherapist and I make videos to help you move better, recover faster, and stay active for life. If that's something you're interested in, consider subscribing and let's get into it. One of the biggest patterns I've noticed is that two people can walk into the clinic with almost identical injuries, yet have completely different outcomes. One person recovers in 6 weeks, the other is still in pain a year later. Same diagnosis, similar age, similar scan findings, completely different recovery. Why? Because pain doesn't exist in isolation. Your body is one connected system. An injury might be the spark, but everything else determines how big the fire becomes. Think about it like trying to grow a plant. The seed matters, but so does the soil, the sunlight, the water, the nutrients. Healing works the same way. The injury matters, but the environment you create for healing matters just as much. So what creates a good healing environment? The first is movement. Not necessarily intense exercise, just movement. Our bodies were designed to move. When people become afraid of movement because they're in pain, they often become weaker, stiffer, and less confident. That creates a vicious cycle where pain leads to less activity, which leads to even more pain. One of the biggest goals in physiotherapy is helping people safely break that cycle. The second factor is strength. Weak muscles don't automatically cause pain, but stronger muscles generally tolerate life's demands better. Whether it's climbing stairs, lifting children, running or playing sport, strength gives your body capacity. The greater your capacity, the less likely everyday activities are to overload your tissues. The third is sleep. Sleep is probably one of the most underrated treatments we have. While we sleep, tissues repair, hormones regulate, inflammation settles, and the brain processes pain. Poor sleep doesn't just make you tired, it can literally increase how sensitive your nervous system becomes. I've had patients whose pain improved dramatically after fixing their sleep. The fourth is stress and emotional well-being. This one surprises a lot of people. Stress doesn't mean your pain is imaginary. Far from it. Pain is always real, but chronic stress keeps the nervous system on high alert. When the brain constantly perceives danger, it becomes easier for pain signals to be amplified. I've seen patients whose symptoms improved after stressful life events settled down, even though we hadn't changed their exercise program. The fifth factor is metabolic health. Things like obesity, type 2 diabetes, insulin resistance, and chronic inflammation can all influence healing. If your body is constantly dealing with systemic inflammation, recovery can become slower. Looking after your overall health isn't just about preventing heart disease. It's all about creating an environment where your tissues can recover efficiently. The sixth factor is nutrition and digestive health. Your body needs protein to rebuild tissue. It needs vitamins and minerals for healing. It needs enough energy to recover. And emerging research is continuing to explore the relationship between gut health, inflammation, and overall well-being. We still have a lot to learn, but it's another reminder that the body functions as an interconnected system rather than separate parts. Finally, there's confidence. One of the biggest predictors I see in clinic isn't actually how bad someone's injury is. It's whether they believe they'll get better. People who become terrified of movement often avoid it completely. Over time, their world becomes smaller. The goal isn't to ignore pain, it's to gradually rebuild confidence through movement that's appropriate for where you're at. So what does all this mean? It means we need to stop asking one question: what's wrong with my knee? Instead, Ask a better question: what kind of environment am I creating for my body to heal? How am I sleeping? Am I getting stronger? How stressed am I? How active am I? How's my nutrition? Am I looking after my overall health? Those questions often matter far more than people realise. Now, I want to be very clear. Sometimes pain is caused by something serious: infections, fractures, inflammatory diseases, or other medical conditions that need proper assessment. That's why it's always important to get persistent or severe pain assessed by a qualified healthcare professional. But for the majority of people dealing with common musculoskeletal pain, improving the health of the whole system often gives a much better long-term results than endlessly chasing the painful body part. If there's one lesson I've learned from treating hundreds of patients, it's this: pain doesn't just live in a joint, muscle, or tendon. Pain lives within a person, and the healthier the person becomes, the better their body usually performs, heals, and adapts. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this helpful, give the video a like because it really helps the channel. I'd love to know in the comments, what's one lifestyle habit you've changed that made the biggest difference to your pain or overall health? I'll see you in the next video.